Right,
Yeah.
this is Ali.
Hi.
Many of you have met Ali before. Ali, some people won't have met you because you aren't necessarily their workshop tutor.
That's right.
Do a quick 1 minute, who are you and what are you cool at?
Oh, well, I'm a senior lecturer in digital marketing here at MMU, and as well as being a tutor on the digital marketing unit, I'm a unit leader on Big Agency, which is a second year unit for undergraduate students. And in the new year, I'll be working with postgraduate students on rich user experience. And my area of interest is on digital human behaviour, and also very much around brand experiences online. So the subject of product as a digital marketing lever is something I'm really interested in.
Great. So if it's not too rude to say, we're qualified to talk about this.
Yes, I think so.
That's good. So today we're going to talk about how we use product as a digital marketing lever. So I'm really interested in the things about a product that you use in the messages you put out to people when you're communicating with them. So it's a bit of a build on the old classic 4 Ps, and one of those Ps is product. And what I'm interested in is when we're looking at our PSO, what is it about our PSO that we can use to convince people to engage with it and buy it, or buy the ideas that are associated with it? So the problem we're solving with today is that in the assignment, you've got to identify and discuss the use of digital and social media levers in your campaign in part of something called the digital and social media marketing matrix. And obviously we're going to come on to the matrix in a few weeks' time.
Okay.
You have to combine these levers in what we call clusters or combinations for acquiring, converting and retaining customers. And obviously one of those levers is product.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I'll be asking people to do in their assignment is that they've got to mock up a touch point. So they've got to show us what that combination of levers looks like.
Okay.
And I would want to say, well, what are you doing with product? What is it about product that's going to be appearing to somebody in the marketing?
Okay.
So today we're going to learn what a product is, and it's not, it sounds obvious, but actually there are things that people don't necessarily know about what a product is. I'm interested in how the digital world affects product. We're going to look at how the 2 I's of individuality and interaction affect a product. We're going to think about the idea of a digital value proposition and how what the digital value proposition of a product is. And then we're going to think about how products and digital combine to create relationships.
Yeah, okay.
And how people get around those things. Where should I start? Maybe think what a product is, and let's see if it matches what people's aspirations are.
Right. Okay, so if you could describe to us then, David, what you think the fundaments of a product are. So let's strip it right back.
Okay, so think about why we sell things, why organisations make things, why we are even in this building. If you go back in time, why people started to make things, you could say, well, because they love making stuff, but the reality is that products exist for the purposes of transactions, and it's sort of the basis of modern civilization. And we could get into all the philosophy of that, but the upshot was we make stuff to sell it.
We do. We make stuff based on need. We should be creating something that people need, right?
Yeah, and that's really where we starting to think about need, and those needs can be expressed in what the product is made of, and products have 3, depending on the authors you look at, 3 main features. The first is that a product has a core benefit, and that's the fundamental value that I as a customer am seeking from a product. It's what I need from it. So if I need something from a product, it's the job of the product to deliver against that need, and that's the core benefit. And a single product might have lots of core benefits for different audiences. And then we have these two things called features, and there are basic features and there are augmented features. And basic features are literally what it says on the tin.
Yes.
You know, the minimum product offering that's required to deliver that core benefit. So in order to be able to deliver that benefit, it's got to have these things. So it's what we would expect. And then there are things called augmented product features. Now these are the unexpected things, and these are features about products that go way beyond what it says on the tin.
Yes.
And marketers love augmented product features because you're not actually allowed to say them in some cases. You can't say on a tin that this is what it will do, but customers can infer these things.
Yes.
Or you can infer these things to customers, and we'll go on to those things in a little while.
I guess I was just thinking about it, you know, from my own perspective there, and like bringing that to life. The wheel, when they invented the wheel, there is a great example of those three aspects: the core, the basic, and the augmented. So the core was it will get us from A to B smoothly, more effectively, more efficiently than ever before. So when they sat round in the caves with all their fur on, that would have been what they were grunting to one another.
Yeah.
The basic feature of that was that it was round.
Got spokes.
And it's got some spokes.
Yeah.
And over time, with the development of the wheel, we're now at a stage where we've probably got something along the lines of intelligent grip tyres, which maybe that's not been invented yet, but tyres that intelligently grip, dictated by the driver and whatever app they pressed on the screen or something.
And it gets even weirder because you can tell people what kind of person you are because you choose a kind of tyre.
Yes.
So the kind of people that might say choose, I don't know, Bridgestone tyres.
Yes.
You're saying, well, I'm a kind of really good driver, you know, I'm a performance driver.
I think probably the F1 use Bridgestone tyres.
They might well do.
So people that follow Formula One might be more inclined towards that brand.
Absolutely. You know, that's the tyre for the real driving enthusiast.
Okay.
If you're a four-wheel driver, you'll probably say, oh no, I've got to have my general grabbers because they show I'm a proper off-roader.
Yeah.
And yet the basic product feature is the same. Rubber, got grip.
Yes.
Fits on a wheel.
Yes.
You know.
One point of order: if you're thinking about buying a car, never buy a car with run-flat tyres.
Which is
they're very expensive.
Is that a Mini by any chance?
Well, they used to have them, but they got rid of them. But anyway, moving swiftly on. So, product value. So let's go to the next level then. So, if we talked about those three sort of features of product, where does that sit in terms of value hierarchy?
So there's a kind of hierarchy. So at the very base is the benefit, and above that is the basic product features, and above that are the augmented features. So what I wanted to do is give a really good example of how this works with sort of examples of things. So think about drinks. I mean, everyone knows about, say, fizzy drinks, but there are lots of different kinds. But the core benefit of something like a tin of pop is, it's got, does it? I'm going to be going. Does it taste good? Is it dependable? Is it consistent? I buy a tin here, a tin somewhere else. It's always going to be the same. That's what I'm after. Is it good value? Is it package convenient for me? And is it a pleasing package? So that's what I'm after from my tin of pop. Good. Now, basic product features. Well, we're asking what the product offers here. So I could be saying things like, we could say it quenches your thirst, it's refreshing, it's stimulating. You can think of all these different kinds of drink that do this. It provides relaxation, it staves off hunger, maybe it's a nutritious drink, maybe it helps me control these are all the drinks I'm having right now, weight control drinks. Does it enhance my health and fitness? Does it improve my performance in athletic endeavours?
Okay.
Does it give me loads of energy? Does it give me the ability to be mentally alert? Does it even improve my sort of alertness and even my sexiness? Some drinks claim to do that, and it says it literally on the tin.
Okay.
So those are the basic product features, and you can think different tins of drink do that.
Yeah.
And then there's the wacky stuff, the augmented product feature. Now these are the things that you can't really say on the tin, but are there. So, when I'm thinking about buying that drink, and it's quite interesting, if you go down to the Northern Quarter on a Friday night, watch people buying drinks, and actually they're not necessarily buying them around those basic product features, they're buying them around these more augmented ones.
True.
So is there something about this drink that will make me feel good? Will it make me think I've made a really clever choice? Is it a product I can trust? This is a drink that says something about me. Have I done something that will make me feel good?
Mm-hmm.
Is it something that I will enjoy choosing? Is it something that I'd like other people to see me consuming and buying?
Yeah.
Does it have values that resonate with mine? And they're a bit more fluffy and a bit more harder to articulate. And yet, you look at products like Apple. They're often about the augmented product features that's why they can be sold for so much more.
Yeah, and somebody like me would argue that it's not fluffy at all, because actually it's about behaviour.
Yeah.
And as human beings, we elicit both cognitive and emotional behaviours.
Yeah.
Rational and emotional, if you want to put it that way. And that is very important in terms of how products are developed. And the augmented features reflect and speak to our needs and our motivations.
Definitely.
So I don't see it as fluffy at all. I see it as fundamental to the product development process.
And they're also the things that are often used to really make a difference.
Correct.
They are the differentiators.
They are.
Okay.
Yes.
Now then, there are lots of different kinds of product.
Yeah, so really what we need to do is kind of like go a bit deeper now, try and really nail it, define a product, or we call it on this unit, don't we, a PSO?
PSO.
Yeah. So
there is an obvious product, which is the tangible good, which is very easy to understand because buyers can see and experience tangible products. I can go and see one in a shop before buying. I can see a photo of one on a website. So we really understand those quite well.
Yes.
But we also have products which are services. So they are not necessarily tangible, but services are actions that organisations carry out for customers or give to customers for the purposes of transactions. So things like banking.
Yeah.
But
universities.
Your course is a product. But then it gets a bit more difficult because some people might regard brand as a product or a lifestyle offering. I mean, look at what, say, Gillette try and communicate to you in their adverts. Yeah, razor blades, but actually is more than that. And actually there are some big things about augmented product features that are bound up in lifestyle offerings.
Yes.
So that PSO, the O is offering, because sometimes it's a whole collection of things which are more than just a single product. But it's probably worth having to think about products that are physical and what the things are. Now, if you're buying a physical product, there's 4 features that tend to sort of let you know that it's physical. One is that there are levels of quality, and we define those as humans. So we might say, that's very good quality shoe, that's a very cheap and nasty shoe. There are features, so some things literally have physical features, and the more complex a physical product is, the more physical features it might have. We've got things around styling, and that's obviously a massive thing in things like fashion.
Yes.
Brand name can be a feature of a physical product, and even the way the product is packaged. You will buy things, particularly luxuries, and actually it's the surround that may well be more important than that. And again, packaging may well incorporate some aspects of augmented product features.
It definitely does, because packaging can be both about what you need to do with something, but actually again, here it comes again, the soft bit, how you feel about that whole experience.
You might, and I think the whole fragrance industry is built around that. Definitely.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Definitely. If you think about services, though, they have slightly different features, and they tend to be governed by about 4 characteristics.
Okay.
The first thing that's really important about a service is you can't touch it. It's intangible. So you can't own a service. You can access one, but you can't take a service home. The second thing about services, or certainly historically, it was this concept called simultaneity, which is the provider and consumer of a service have to be in the same place and time for that exchange to exist.
Okay.
But in the digital world, those things are changing, and I think we'll have a think about those in a minute.
Interesting.
The third thing about a service is something called heterogeneity. It's very hard in a physical world to repeat the same level of service exactly time and time again. So there's always a slight variation in that. And the fourth problem with service is this thing called perishability. That, for example, I have open office hours.
Yes.
Between, say, 2 and 3 on a certain day. If no one comes to access those open office hours, they've gone forever. I can't bank them up and use them another time.
Yeah.
So service is, because of the time and place thing, once that moment has passed, it's lost forever.
Yeah.
And that's a real thing.
Interesting, isn't it? Snapchat, for example.
Absolutely.
It's totally built on perishability.
As a selling point.
It's the selling point, yeah.
Absolutely.
There we go. Right, so having covered basic features of product, gone a little bit deeper, now we need to think about how the digital world affects this whole concept of product, don't we?
So there are lots of different types of digital products. So the first kind is the idea of digital goods.
Yep.
And the benefit of a piece of digital goods is that it comes in a digital format. So something like an MP3 or a piece of software.
Yep.
And the attribute that we look at there is the ability to make once and reproduce many, many times.
Yep.
And that's great. So the copy of Microsoft Office that you get is exactly the same as the one I get.
Yes.
When it arrives. We can personalize it, but that's the individualization bit that comes on later. The second kind of digital product is a digital service.
Can I just ask you, would you put smartphones into digital goods, or would you put them?
No.
Am I jumping ahead of it?
The phone itself is a physical good.
It's a physical good.
But iOS is a digital product.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. And it's one of those complex products where it's a bit of
So the
physical.
software platform is the digital aspect
absolutely.
of it. Yeah. Okay.
But the physical iPhone is just a product.
Yeah.
With service, the core service itself is digital. So the idea of the something like playing an online game or using a search engine or doing your banking or accessing financial services.
Yeah.
The thing that makes the digital brings to that is we can produce the same service time and time again.
Right.
So we've got this consistency,
and
we can do it anytime. So the old dream of 24/7 is in there, that you don't have to be at the bank at 9 o'clock to do your banking, and you can be anywhere in the world.
You don't have to get out of bed to turn your heating on.
So you don't have to worry about simultaneity.
Yeah.
And you don't have to worry about perishability. So that's why digital services are huge, because we've dealt with some of the problems of the existing services.
Okay.
Then you've got the idea of retail and distribution as a service, as a product. So Amazon is a product in its own right.
Yes.
Because you've got a way of aggregating all that demand and aggregating all that supply. So eBay's like that, Amazon, Alibaba, they're all a kind of product in their own right. Uber.
Digital marketplace.
Is absolutely. Uber's that. Mobike, all of those new sort of startup businesses, and they're no longer startups, are actually great examples of digital businesses where it's the distribution based around the aggregation of demand and supply in a single place. And then there are things which actually feed into the augmented product features because of something digital. So something digital adds an extra feature to perhaps a real world product or service. And a really good example of that is parcel delivery, which is as old as the hills.
Yeah.
But I now get text messages from DPD to tell me when my parcel's arriving, and they literally can tell me to within the hour when it's coming along. That's an augmented product feature.
Yeah.
Something I wasn't necessarily expecting, although it's rapidly becoming an expected feature.
Yes.
So one of the things about augmented features is when everyone else starts doing them and not just you,
That's right.
they become basic product, and that's where that differentiation thing gets ironed out. And one of the things that's funny about digital is digital makes it easier for you to copy other people's things.
It does, and it becomes then harder and harder, doesn't it, to differentiate and, you know, to give your customers something that your competitors are not.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So, what are the effects then of this on the actual product? So how, you know, this individualization and this interactivity,
Yeah, well,
what does that mean in terms of the digital product?
well, in digital terms, for example, we can give someone a specific price for them. So you'll find now that you might have a price that's different to someone else's, so we can individualize prices. And obviously when we come and talk about price as a lever, that's something that you can actually use to convey to people. Great example of that is when you try and book a train or an aeroplane, you're being shown quite a unique price there. It's not a fixed price. We can also target very specific price promotions at certain people. Maybe a certain behaviour. We could target that. Someone's typed something in a search engine, they get a certain price. Someone types something different, they might get a different one. You might find that we need to create different digital presences and assets for different segments. So you might see roughly the same product is actually conveyed in different ways. And a great example of that is insurance.
Yes.
So Direct Line say they don't do comparison engine stuff, but the people that underwrite their insurance do go on to Go Compare and all those other comparison engines. So same product, but actually wrapped up in a different wrapper for different people. And we also have the opportunity to keep people informed, individuals informed of pricing. So one of the things that I've noticed, if you shove a product in Amazon, you shop in, place in the basket, but then don't buy it, and leave it in there, and Amazon will let you know if the price has gone up or down. And I've done this with a book that I've left in Amazon for a year, and they change the price about once a week.
Right, interesting.
So you can keep people updated with price changes, and it might be an incentive to purchase if, for example, that person thinks, all right, that's the right price for me now. And again, we'll look at that in the pricing section.
Okay, great.
In terms of interactivity, we can do all sorts of really clever things. One of the things that organisations do is they gather lots of data about people, and as a result they can change the way a product is presented to someone.
Yes.
One of the sort of most obvious physical views of that is when the Mini first came out, this new Mini, there were 4 million different versions of it, because it was so configurable. And now, of course, every car company's jumped on the bandwagon. You can configure your car on the website, and 6 weeks later it comes from wherever that factory is. So I think somebody was saying that there are probably 3 Minis like your Mini in the UK, and that's it.
Okay.
Every other one is slightly different. It's the same with Amazon. If you think of that as a service, your view of Amazon is just a little bit different than everyone else's.
It is.
So you have a very individual view on that. And one of the things that people really like are individual products that are just for them. And so you'll find that quite a lot of organisations will personalise that experience.
Yes.
And obviously it's a lot easier to personalise a service, but products are increasingly personalised as well. Now then, this is a bit of a favourite of ours.
Yes.
How we work out what we call the proposition. And I don't know. We deal with this quite a lot with our MSc students.
Yeah, we do. So, let's do our own take on this then. So, what's the value proposition?
If you go and look at the textbooks, the value proposition is the core benefit. And remember, we've used that term before. That it's the value I seek to derive. So it's what I really am looking for. So I'm looking for something, and therefore the value proposition is my product delivering that. So the value proposition should describe the benefits that I expect from your product. This is what you can expect from it. And one of the really good ways of working out what people expect is knowing what they do.
That's right.
So it's quite unusual. History is filled with people inventing things and then wondering who they're for. So, here's a product which is a solution to a problem you didn't know you had.
Yeah.
And that's probably, we've got loads of, this is why TK Maxx is full of t-shirts and jeans that no one's bought, because nobody actually checked if anyone wanted them. Yeah. And you'll find that's why we have discount stores.
Yes.
It's why we have outlets, because people have invented stuff without necessarily working out who it's for, or if there is a customer for it. So there are these sort of little stages that you have to go through in order to work that out. So you have to ask, who is the customer? Now, on this unit, we've already started looking at who the customers are, because our target audiences are based around behaviours, locations and psychographic qualities.
Yeah, that's right.
You can take that on a little bit further with this, because some of those behaviours, locations and psychographic qualities kind of give us a bit of a hint as to what's going on in someone's life.
True.
And if we use that as a basis for what we're after, it allows us to understand what we think the core benefit is that somebody seeks to derive from this. So we have to create like a customer profile based around behaviours, locations and psychographic qualities. Now there's a model of a book, and it's worth just showing a picture of the book.
Yeah.
And this is it's not part of this course, but it's worth knowing that this book called Value Proposition Design, it's by an author called Alex Osterwalder, and if you're really into it, go and get it. It's only 15 quid, but otherwise I think there might be a copy in the library. But it's not a core text for this program. But these guys said that you have to look at these things called jobs, pains and gains. And what they say is that a target audience will have jobs, and these are the things that your target audience are trying to achieve, trying to get done in their work or their personal lives. So everyone has things we need to do. I need to make a hole in that wall. That's my job, for example. And when we're doing these jobs, we have these things called pains and gains. And pains are bad outcomes that could happen, or risks that we're taking, or obstacles to achieving the job, to getting the job done. And the gains are the outcomes or the very specific benefits that our target audience wants to achieve. So if we think about these, they're a really sort of a helpful way of understanding what people are trying to do in their lives.
I think as digital marketers, David, it's incumbent upon us all to actually put ourselves in the role of the customer that we want to target. And that's what I say to people when people struggle with this.
Yeah.
I just say, imagine you are this person.
Yeah.
So you need to visualize what this person is doing, and then you need to try and imagine what they're thinking. So even if you don't buy the product, you actually have to go through that process yourself. That will stand you in good stead for this particular task.
And when you go out and do real work,
yes,
you will be needing to stand in the shoes of people who you will never be.
Correct.
Because you'll never be buying that product.
Yeah, and as a hint, for anybody who's really interested in this, you should go and look up anybody that's written about empathy in digital marketing, but also creating empathetic customer profiles.
Yeah.
So that's also a tip.
Okay, so I'm going to look at jobs first of all, how we target audience jobs. So you have to ask yourself, what are your target audience trying to get done in their work or in their life? And there are 4 kinds of job. So the first one is the functional job. So an actual specific task you can see. You know, I need to drill a hole in this wall. I need to get from Manchester to London.
Yes.
So they're really sort of easy to see. And then there are these social jobs, and you can see where this is going with the augmented feature stuff. There's the job of looking good.
Yep.
Or of having status or gaining status, and we can deny this stuff exists, and yet people do want to look good.
Yeah,
doing things.
The whole concept of social proof, right?
Yeah, and if you're a clothing retailer, you know it's about making people look good. So this stuff is real. And then there are personal and emotional jobs. These are the job of feeling secure, of feeling good, of making great choices. And they're kind of quite emotional.
Yeah.
You know, you want to be able to supply a solution that allows someone to feel secure.
To trust you.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And then there is the job of supporting doing the job. So one of the things that's a job is actually making the purchase.
Yes.
So I've got to buy the solution to my problem. I've got, you know, and there's a job of purchasing. So, you know, that's something I've got to do. There's the job of co-creating value. So I've got to somehow maybe leave some feedback or do a review. And then there's the job of transferring value. So one of the most important, particularly with services, is how do I stop paying for this?
Yes.
How do I cancel this? How do I sell it?
Send it back.
Yeah. How do I get rid of the thing because when I no longer want it? So those are jobs as well.
Yeah. Okay.
And one of the things is the context of a customer determines how important those jobs are, which is why understanding those behavioural, locational, and psychographic things is quite important, because that tells you a lot about the context and the importance of each of those jobs. But jobs don't just exist on their own. There are some things that get in the way.
Yes, definitely.
And one of those things that gets in the way is pain. It's painful to do things.
Stuff that annoys customers.
Absolutely.
Frustrates them.
Yeah. And things annoy us before we start the job, during the job, and after the job.
Yeah.
So the first kind of pain is an undesired outcome or a problem or an undesired characteristic of the job. So you can, again, you're getting into the persona thing here, and you're getting into the shoes, and there are functional problems. So this doesn't work, X doesn't work. How many times have you bought something, plugged it in, and it doesn't work, you know, or you can't get it to work? Like back in the 80s, new video recorder, plug it in, how does it work? No, you know, those were functional undesirable outcomes. And then there are social undesirable outcomes. You know, I look bad doing this job. I want a way of stopping that happening. There are emotional unexpected outcomes. You know, I feel bad when I do this job. You know, there's a reason why, and this is a bit of an extreme example, why when people go into an adult literature store, it's put in a brown paper wrapper because people feel bad buying that kind of thing. And you know, very early on, those kind of organisations quickly found out how to make people not feel bad about it. And then there are ancillary unexpected outcomes. So it's annoying to have to do this job. So you know, you're thinking, how do I make that less annoying? Then there are obstacles to doing the job. So things that stop you starting it or hinder your progress. You know, this always gets in the way. You know, batteries run out. That's something that, you know, the people always complain about. And there are risks. So the risks associated with doing this job are a pain. So if I have to do this is what could go wrong. So these three things, undesired outcomes, problems and characteristics, obstacles and risks, are the things that make people's lives miserable when they're trying to do that job. And you also have to think about the pain, and again, the context will tell you how severe the pain is. So looking at behaviours, location, psychographics will let you know how much of a nightmare this is in someone's life, whether it's a really big thing or whether it's a minor matter.
Right. So how do we sort of target people then based on their gains, on those gains?
Well, if you think that the point of a job is to be able to achieve it.
Okay.
I want to be able to do this.
Yeah.
And you've got to look at what outcomes and benefits a target audience wants.
Right.
And there is a very basic, and this is a bit like the sort of the core benefits. There are absolutely 100% required gains which somebody's going to seek from a solution to a job. Some people call this the minimum viable product.
Yes.
But if you don't have these required gains, then this isn't a solution to that problem. Then there are the expected gains. So this is the basic product features. A little bit like what we mentioned before.
Yeah.
This is what everyone expects from any solution to this problem. And then we have desired gains. So these are the sort of things that go beyond the basics. They're things that are nice but not critical to the solution. But they could be deal breakers here. Oh, it's got that. Oh yeah, I'll go for that. It's just little things that could add to that. And then there are what we call the unexpected gains. So this is when something goes beyond the basic. This is what I wanted to achieve, but my God, I could do this. The idea of, if you think that expected gains is about satisfaction, unexpected gains are about delight.
Yes.
Does that person get a delight from doing this with this particular solution? And again, you've got to think about the relevance of this. It's all very well saying, this does this and these magical things which you aren't expecting. But they've got to be relevant to that context again. So it's about looking at those behaviours and those locations and those sacrifices, thinking, how much would that unexpected gain really, help that person in that moment? So those are the jobs and the pains and the gains. So our next thing was, how do we work out how our product deals with those things?
Okay.
So there are these things called jobs, which we're very conscious of, and we have to then ask ourselves, how does our product, our PSO, help the target audience with those jobs?
Okay.
So how does our product help customers do those functional jobs? How does it help them with complete specific tasks? So imagine you sell a drill. How does it help people drill holes in walls? If it's holes in walls, how does it help people drill holes in walls? How does our product help people with those social jobs? So how does our product make someone look good, or how does it make them gain status? Now bear in mind that these different jobs are relevant to the people, so your product has to be responding to that. So not everyone has these different kind of jobs. You have to work out what the jobs are first before you go around saying that your product solves them. How does your product help people with those personal or emotional jobs? So how does our product make people feel secure, make people feel good, or make them think that they're making a wise choice? So think about people selling antivirus software, that they are the messages they use to make people feel safe. Same with burglar alarms, those kind of things. How does your product help people in the supporting jobs? So how does your product buy value for them? So does your product actually make the job of purchasing the product easy? Is it easy to buy my product? Or is it actually quite hard? And it's amazing. I look at stuff and go, oh, that looks really great. And I get to me and go, I've got to fill in loads of forms and things like that.
It's interesting, though, but it kind of begs the question when I think about, some of the students that are in my tutorial group. They don't have physical digital products necessarily. Their PSO might be something that is offline that they're selling online, or it might be a product like that, or it might be an experience that they're going to try and sell digitally. So are we asking and saying to people, you need to be able to kind of approach your PSO, breaking it down into this kind of granular detail?
Certainly look at the jobs that people have.
Yes.
I mean, a great example is quite a few teams are talking about apps as a product.
Yes.
And the goal is to persuade someone to download it. So in the supporting job, how easy is it to get the app? Is it, easy might be, well, you won't have to get your wallet out.
Mm-hmm.
or you literally just go to the App Store and there it is on your phone.
Yeah.
So that might be an important thing. Another job is the job of co-creating value. So how does your product make it easy to do things like leave reviews and feedback? So again, apps are a great example. Is it a built-in thing in your app that you can leave a review about it? Because if I have to go to down a load of different routes just to got 5 gold stars and go, yeah, it's great, I'm not going to bother.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if it's like, do you love our product, give us 5 stars now, don't have to think about it again, that's made it easy.
Yes, okay.
And how easy is it to transfer value with your product? So is it easy for me to cancel it? Is it easy for me to resell it?
Mm-hmm.
So one of the big criticisms of, say, Kindle books is you can't sell them.
No.
You bought it. In fact, you don't actually buy the book. You buy the right to read it.
Mm-hmm.
And so people go, I'm not buying a Kindle book because I can't resell it. Whereas if I buy a real book, I can, say like textbook for this course, end of the year, you're going to get it on eBay and flog it. So it's easy. So, that's one of the sort of jobs that people can do with a real book. Or is it easy to dispose of this? One of the biggest criticisms, particularly amongst certain kinds of audiences, well, when this product reaches the end of its life, will I be able to recycle it? And so I get really mad at those those milk cartons that are the Tetra Packs. They're a nightmare to recycle, so I don't buy them.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas I know I can recycle milk bottles from the milkman, and I can recycle the plastic in the plastics recycler, but I probably won't choose one of those Tetra Brick cartons because I can't get rid of it.
Mm-hmm.
And again, people sometimes look at that as I think, well, when it breaks, what do I deal with?
Mm-hmm.
And increasingly with people's environmental awareness, that becomes a thing, a job that they're aware of.
Okay.
And again, the context creates a sense of how important the helping part of your product is. So look at what the behaviour is, or the location, or the psychographic quality, and think, what is it that we can sort of contribute to here in terms of our product.
Okay.
The other thing to think of then is, how does our product deal with those pains? So how does our product deal with, say, the undesired outcomes or problems or characteristics? How does the product fix the functional problem? How does the product, how does it make it? Does it remove the problem? Does it make the job easier? Does it fix the functional issue in terms of it actually does work? So things like emphasizing reliability might be an important there. People are always like using things and go, it just doesn't work.
Yes. And
it might functionally work, but it doesn't work straight out of the box or straight on the install, say in the form of an app. So that's does your product deal with that?
Okay.
Does your product deal with the social things? So does your product make people look okay when they're doing this? Does your product stop people feeling bad when they're doing the job? Does it remove the annoyingness associated with that job normally? Okay. Does it remove obstacles? So for example, does it actually speed things up? Does it encourage you to start a job? Does it actually make it easy to start a job? Does it deal with any of those risks that people think they might have when embarking on that job? So does it remove the risks or mitigate against them? Does it stop things going wrong when people are trying to use the solution? And again, you'd be thinking about how important the pains are to someone, and then going, right, that's what we're gonna target.
Right.
And then you've got to think about the gains. So every job, remember, is about getting a gain. So you have to say to yourself, how does your product at least provide the required gain? So you have to show the how does it actually obtain those features without which it won't work?
Yeah. How
does it actually deliver those very basic product features that people expect from any product or service in that class?
Yeah.
What are the features that go beyond?
Yes.
And how does your product deliver that?
Good,
so the sort of things that make people go, oh, they're unique to that. how does your product deliver any unexpected gains? So things that people weren't expected, but they would. So for me, I'd say, how does it deliver delight? And it's that big smile in the face, the glint in the eye. And again, you have to think about how important they are. For things that are luxury and expensive, unexpected gains are massive. Whereas things, and again, you're then thinking about that relationship continuum.
Yes.
You don't have there aren't many unexpected gains you want from toilet roll, but there are some expected gains that are important. And maybe some of those toilet roll brands are playing around with some desired ones. So little things like, a free cuddly dog or, or a bear or something like that. But
some things, I think some brands are trying to shoehorn that in for the sake of it. And I don't think it's really working. It jars with consumers because people see through that.
And that's because they're not looking at what the target audience's gains need to be.
But don't you think, in the world that we're living in, if we were talking about this in my other unit the other day, the zeitgeist, the spirit of the age, is I feel that brands are almost being forced now to go to the extra mile more than they ever have done, because people expect everything and anything for nothing almost, and they're being forced to do this. And actually, is that necessarily the right thing? Because ultimately what they do is deliver toilet paper, which allows us to clean ourselves up after we've been to the loo. That's all it is. We don't need any more.
We don't.
We don't need it to have writing on it or fluffy dogs jumping out of it. We just need it to do the job, right?
And yet there are ways of differentiating it. So what's that kind of, there's a write-on toilet paper.
Where they deliver the loo rolls to your house. And it's got, what's the name of it? I don't know.
I've forgotten the name.
I have as well.
But you get it delivered. Well, that's a job dealt with.
Well, it is. You have to go and buy it.
It comes in packs of 48.
Yeah, and also it's got a feel good factor to it.
Yeah, because it's really environmentally conscious.
Yeah, it makes you socially acceptable.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, and then of course people will come around your house and use your loo.
And go,
oh right, you've got that loo paper. So actually there are some some features which go beyond the basic, and it really works there because they know what the target audience is, which is people who really get like real agony about the toilet paper thing. So that's.
But I don't think people who buy Andrex necessarily do.
No, and that's why understanding the context is really, really important.
Context is important, but I think obviously somebody like Andrex, which is part of a bigger brand family, is it Procter & Gamble? I'm not sure. It's almost like they can do whatever they want because they've got the money. When you're a small, niche, very small local organisation, like lots of our students are working with, then it does become an issue.
Absolutely.
Where do you put that money? Where do you put that effort? You should only put it into anything which directly meets the needs of the people that you want to have a relationship with.
Absolutely.
There you go.
Now, this is all very well, but one of the things that's important about the product is understanding what aspects of the product are important: acquisition, conversion, and retention. So when we're trying to acquire someone, we need to think about what the core benefit of the product is. We think about how it's packaged and presented. Now, packaged and presented, we're thinking this in sort of abstract terms. So how we present that as a concept in a message. We might want to think of jobs that people have, gains and pains that they go through, and think about those. So we can go, hey, this helps you do that job. It helps you fix that pain. It helps you deal with that gain, because someone's behaviour might be asking how to fix that, and so we need to respond to that. So we're thinking about how your product is a gain creator and a pain reliever at acquisition.
And I think in a digital context as well, this is where those first impressions really make a difference, because invariably the first interaction with your PSO will be digital.
Absolutely.
So we have to make sure that people get this stuff instantly. We've got, what is it, 1/10 of a second or something? The statistics tell us.
So we're going to look at it and go,
yep, that's for me.
No, if they're going to move on or not.
Yeah, that's right.
And then if we've acquired someone, that moment of conversion is going to be affected by a whole series of different issues around product. So again, the presentation and packaging from an abstract point of view, attributes, features, basic features, and then the augmented features.
Trust queues are massive here, aren't they?
Absolutely. The support one has leading up to that conversion. So when somebody's discovering, particularly quite complex products, more and more of the sort of help around that. Other things that are important is like delivery, particularly for an offline product. People will go, is it free delivery? Even though it never is, it's somehow built into the price. Can I have it tomorrow? Can I have it in 2 hours?
Is it free returns? Do you send me something to stick on the label?
All those kind of things are important.
Okay.
How many things go with it? So the availability of complementaries is a really important thing. The reason why Apple phones sell by the bucket load is you can buy all these knickknacks that go with it, and there's an app store the size of your arm. Just long and long and long. A million apps doing the same thing, and then loads of different categories. Not the same for the Windows phone. So that's why that doesn't convert in the numbers it could. And then you've got to think about any customer specific attributes and features. So the opportunity to personalize could be the thing that makes someone convert. And then the re-emphasis, the reiteration of the jobs that someone's trying to do and how this deals with that, the pains that it fixes, the gains it creates. All of those need to be around that moment of conversion. Otherwise someone will go, I don't know why I'm doing this. And then when you're thinking about retaining someone, the things about products that drive retention are the ability to upgrade or move beyond the basic thing that they've got, the ability to increasingly personalize. Again, you need to emphasize the jobs that are being done, the pains that are being relieved, the gains that are being created, the idea that you've got lots of post-sale support. You bought this, ring us up, come and see our FAQs, look this video. These will keep people there. As people are retained more and more, you might have, say, tiered levels of service. So a great example of that, but buy 9 coffees, get 1 free. Is a way of keeping someone retained. Or if you come here often enough, we will let you have some extra things. Or if you use this often enough, you'll get access to this unique service. Increasing personalization because of customer insight and real customer care. So people will be retained if the customer care is very visible and very promoted to them.
This issue of personalisation is one that I'm interested in, because I wonder how many digital brand experiences are really personalised.
I know what you mean.
There's a huge question there around the difference between, for example, being a Boohoo customer. This comes up quite a lot. So you're a Boohoo customer and you're interested in party wear, and you're only that's all you want. But they send you emails about everything that they sell, including workwear, which you're not even interested in. And they would argue that because you bought dresses, they sort of know that they're assuming that you want everything else, which is wrong, and that's poor, and that's not personalisation.
Exactly. And at Christmas, when you're buying for say your partner, who is going to be quite different to you in so many ways,
absolutely,
and yet you end up being the target for their tastes. So I've bought a handbag for the missus for Christmas, and of course it's coming from a company that make products predominantly for people like my missus. Now I'm being bombarded as if I'm the consumer of those products.
That's right.
As opposed to, you clearly bought that as a present, mate. Here are some other presents. That's when it will be personal.
But it's interesting though, because I think the trap that we often fall into is that in order to retain somebody, we have to give them an offer. But that offer doesn't always have to be of monetary value, does it? And there are other things that speak to people's needs and motivations that don't involve price.
And we'll talk about price in the session on price, and how the last thing you should do is discount. Because it's amazing what people are prepared to pay.
Well, the best example of discount destroying something, in my humble opinion, is the Black Friday Cyber Monday scenario. In America, it actually means something, because it only comes at that time of year, and it is on products that are not from last year. It's on current products that they discount, stuff that people want that is at a really naughty price, and they can only get it on those 2 days. What we've done in this country is just go, let's have a jumble sale.
Yeah.
Let's get out our summer stock and sell it on Black Friday and Cyber Monday.
Yeah.
And what has happened is destroyed the market, and consumers have seen straight through it.
Yeah.
So there's a great example of
what discounting does is make people think, I know you can sell it for that much normally now.
Yeah.
So you create this discount
They'll
culture.
never be able to go back.
No.
Never ever go back.
Absolutely destroyed it.
Destroyed it. Killed it.
So there comes a moment though when you reach the end of your time with a product.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things that marketing needs to be able to do is to, as an active thing, is move someone to the next thing.
Yes.
So it's almost like a retention activity, but you stop someone using the current product. Now the product might have come to an end of life. How do you move someone to that? It's your marketing about moving them, migrating them to the next part of the portfolio. In sort of very real terms, my son no longer wears nappies. So we reach the end of the life cycle there. So the people that make the nappies have got to think, what's the next thing we can sell to those people? Same with all sorts of things. There will come a point when you finish your degree.
That's right.
What will the university do to migrate you to a different product in the portfolio?
Yep.
Watch out, kids, for all the things about master's programs, because you're going to suddenly go, oh, I'm being migrated.
Yeah, come back and do more of this.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think that's probably all I want to have a think about today. So we've looked at what a product is. We've thought about how the digital world affects product. We've thought about how interactivity and individualization affect a product. We've thought about digital propositions and what it is and what it means and what the different things a proposition should do in terms of dealing with a customer's needs. And we've looked at how you use product at different stages of that customer relationship. So on our next session, we'll be looking at price, and price and product are so intertwined that it can be hard to think about them, as we found out today, as separate things. But price is its own little ball game, and we have to communicate price in a very clever way.
Yeah, great stuff.
Thanks a lot, Ali.
You're welcome.
And we'll see you guys soon.
Take care.